Let's talk about the fact that dog training skills are perishable, both from a handler perspective and from a dog perspective. This is Minnie. Minnie is about 14 weeks old. She's got some Great Pyrenees in her and some Golden Retriever and maybe some Poodle, not sure. But anyway, hey, listen, she's a super sweet little dog. She's been with me since she was 12 weeks old. I guess she's 16 weeks old now then. Okay, and she has just kind of hit a nice little stride in terms of her basic obedience development. She's calm, she's attentive, she's polite, she's very pattern cognizant. She follows along with the other dogs well. She likes everybody that comes down here. She's easy to motivate with treats or with food, with attention. You know, I mean, she's just really a good little dog. But here's the thing, okay? When she goes home, like, it's going to be easy for her owner to think in terms of her being trained, okay? Because she looks so good right now. But you have to remember that training happens kind of with some ebbs and flows to it, right? So if you do everything right, so let's just say, for example, you pick a system like mine where you get started with dogs when they're very young, and you really focus on simple basic obedience coupled with lots of socialization. You get them out into a lot of environments and you do a considerable amount of learning by doing. Then by the time they're 16, 18, 20 weeks old, they're going to look like they're fully trained. I mean, they're just going to look awesome. This is what's going to happen. You're going to put them on the leash and they're going to be attentive. You might have to do a little clicking and a little treating. You might have to be a little bit effusive with your praise. You know, and you might have to redirect them every once in a while due to the fact that they're young and wanting to explore the world. But for the most part, like, if you get started early, dogs look awesome by the time they're 24 weeks. I mean, they just look awesome. They look like everything's done. And one of the pitfalls of running an in-kennel dog training program is that, like, people want to bring you dogs and they want you to kind of program the dogs so that the dogs are going to have predictable responses once they get them home. And that's not exactly how in-kennel training works. It's kind of more like an in-kennel trainer is simply a coach, right? So sending a dog to in-kennel training is kind of like sending a kid to soccer camp or sending a kid to basketball camp with a bunch of coaches and a bunch of mentors that's going to bring out the best in the kids, you know, for that particular skill set. So, like, what's our particular skill set around here? We teach basic obedience. We want the dogs to be very social. We want them to be reliable off the leash. We want them to be able to navigate a wide range of physical environments, okay? And so, like, if you thought about this dog as being at camp, well, this dog and all these dogs that you see here are doing a great job because they get up every day and they're all focused on the same goals. Every day we're going to come out of the kennel, we're going to do some formal school work, and then we're going to play, and then we're going to go out back and go hiking a little bit, and then these dogs are going to kind of follow me around while I work over the course of the day. And while all that's happening, every so often I'm going to give them a lot of attention and some kind of awesome goodie, right? So imagine I'm the main coach at the camp, right? And then I have mentor dogs, and that's kind of like the big kids that are the helpers that are familiar with the activity. And then these guys are the campers. They're the ones that are coming to learn their basic skill set and refine that skill set. And when they leave here, they're going to look like they really know how to play. But if they go home and no one holds them to that same standard, well, then they're going to lose those skills, okay? Because that's just the bottom line, is that, like, dogs, like, you know, children, they have things to do. And when they're young, like, whatever the people that they look up to are doing often seems like really good ideas. So at this dog's age, at 16 weeks old, or at this dog's age, maybe this one's 14 weeks or something, they look at these older dogs and they look at all the people that come down here as being really important, and they really want to interact and they really want to follow them around. But here's the problem. They still have to go through adolescence. So they're going to go from a natural, like, following stage to a natural boundary testing stage. And that can be very frustrating for people if they, you know, start with a good system and maybe then they invest in some training where the dog goes away for boarding. You know, they get the dog back and the dog's acting good because it's in the pre-adolescent stage, but dog's still got a boundary testing phase to come up too, right? So, like, what we have to understand with Minnie is that when she goes home, she's going to go from tons of structure, tons of mentors, right? Tons of people trying their best to interact with her in such a way as it produces really good obedience results, to a regular family of busy people you know, that work and play sports and have to go to school and stuff like that. So she's not going to get the same level of attention. She's not going to get the same level of structure. She's not going to have the same number of mentor dogs to follow around and emulate. Okay? And she still has an adolescent boundary testing phase to go through. So the bottom line is that Minnie's going to leave here, and she's going to be minding better when she leaves here than she's going to be minding at home in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks. Okay? That's just the way it's going to be. Because somewhere in the next couple of months, she's going to decide that she wants to test boundaries. And most likely what's going to happen when she starts testing boundaries is she's going to get a lot of feedback from the environment. And this happens all the time. You take a young dog and you put it in a really good training program with a really good methodology, and the young dog starts acting perfect, and then the owners start taking that perfect behavior for granted, and they stop paying attention to the dog. They stop noticing the dog when it's doing really well. Guess what? Dogs don't like to be ignored. So they start trying to figure out how to get attention. So we got kind of a convergence of factors. The owners take the dog's good behavior for granted. The dog hits a natural boundary testing phase. The dog starts experimenting with pushing back against the rules, and it starts to, when it pushes back against the rules, it starts to notice that it's getting more attention. So think about that, right? You got a great little dog, stops getting attention, then starts getting in trouble because it's testing the rules and notices, wow, you know what, yesterday when I broke the rules, yesterday when I run through the house with mom's underwear, everybody noticed me. Wow, I think that seems like I'm going to put that on my list of ways to get noticed. Okay, and so the next thing you know, the dog's running through the house with underwear again. It gets in trouble for that, so the dog goes, wow, yeah, I got some attention. It says, I'm going to try something else. So it goes over and it gets on the counter. And again, everybody's paying attention to it. The dog says, I got something else. I can get underwear and run through the house, or I can get on the counter. That's good. And then, so then it gets put in a crate. Because people are like, oh, well, you know, like this dog's being crazy, I'm gonna put it in a crate. So the dog starts barking in the crate, gets more attention. So you see how the dog starts building up a whole repertoire of behaviors that are effective for getting attention. It can run through the house with your underwear, it can jump on the counter, it can bark in the crate, so then you put it outside. Dog's sitting outside and nothing's happening, and as long as it's being good, nobody notices, so what's it do? Goes and starts digging up the landscaping, right? So you look out the window and the dog has dug up all your hostas. Come on, nerd. Okay? So I just want to kind of, you know, like just kind of make this video just to remind you that when you start training your puppy, understand that you have to keep working with the puppy until it's an adult dog if you want to firmly establish habits, right? And there's going to be times where you think the puppy's perfectly trained, followed by times where you think the puppy's lost all its training. Okay, that's just the natural ebbs and flows of training. So you're going to start off with a great method, it's going to get better, and then the dog's going to hit the natural boundary testing phase, and it's going to get worse. And then what's going to compound that is the dog's going to notice that it gets more attention when it tests boundaries, and so it's going to get even way worse, right? And then you're going to go, oh, wow, I should have kept up with this. And you're going to call me and you're going to say, hey, Stonnie, like everything's going crazy. What do I do? And I'm going to tell you, just get back on your basic obedience program, your basic socialization program, your basic energy regulation program, because you're at the bottom. You've hit rock bottom. Your dog's tore up all your hostas, it's chewed up all your underwear. Bam, you start focusing on basic obedience again. You start getting the dog some socialization. You start getting the dog a little more exercise. It comes out, it levels off. You realize the importance of staying consistent. Next thing you know, the dog's out of the adolescent period and all these habits are firmly established, and you understand what we were doing from the beginning, okay? But that's what you have to do. You have to stick it out, right? Because dog training is built on a combination of consistency and persistence. And to a person, we all struggle with those things over the course of that dog's first year. Okay, so don't get upset, okay, when your dog goes to not minding that well. But just, you know, realize that if you take a step back and you objectively evaluate your actions, you can see where a combination of your actions and the dog's developmental stages have led to a temporary trough in the dog's behavior. And all that we have to do is we have to change our actions, change our expectations, extend our timeline horizons, and understand that it takes the amount of time that it takes to create habit. And then once we've created habit, we're done. Okay, so don't get upset, but never forget that dog training skills are perishable. Okay, and dogs have developmental stages to go through, and so you're going to have to be consistent, and you're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to really work hard until you get the dog into the post-adolescent period.